Where the locals go for the best boiled seafood around. Crawfish, shrimp, red royals, and everything crabs. Watch almost every sporting event in the country on their huge outdoor jumbotron. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on weekly events, live music, and food and beer specials. Lone Star Boil House and Sports Bar. Your home away from home for sports, good times, and great food. The best boiled seafood. Lone Star Boil House and Sports Bar. 320 West 5th Street, downtown Panama City.
At Brock Lawn and Pest Control, we're proud to be awarded the distinction of being Quality Pro certified.
Our technicians have passed rigorous training in eco-friendly application and prevention of pest treatments.
Part of the program is the practice of integrated pest management.
IPM's goal is to prevent pests from ever entering your home. It includes inspection, prevention, education, and, when necessary, application.
We're proud to be Quality Pro certified.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, the standard and level of trust.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida. If you build it, they will come. We're live from the CBC Construction Studios. Get ready. The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
Live and local.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
This thing is going to be a financial and cultural disaster.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Whopper, 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 whopper.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Baby, if you've ever wondered whatever became of me. I'm living on the air in Cincinnati, WKRP.
And welcome to the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm your host, Paul Wilson, today is a day that you might ask, why are we opening the show with WKRP in Cincinnati? Well, first of all, it was one of the Starlight films every week that I used to watch when I was a little kid, and just a great show, and one of the people that was a part of my childhood. So Lonnie Anderson has passed away, as most remember her as Miss Marlowe, working the reception desk for WKRP in Cincinnati. I'm 48 years old, and I remember that very much as a kid. That was one of the shows I actually can sing the whole song, and that's one of those things. Today on the Afternoon Underdogs, I'm joined with Coach Brian Haddig, and in the glass bowl, I'm joined with Bone Crusher. Hey. Coach, how you doing today? Who's going first? How you doing today, Coach Brian?
I'm good. I thought you were still talking to Bone Crusher. I've been on the road for a week, so I'm a little bit out of it. But no, doing great, and I've got you by 2 years, so I definitely watched WKRP in Cincinnati, and just so many characters. We were talking about it before. Everybody who watched that show remembers the Thanksgiving episode with the turkeys on the roof.
On the roof.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
That's right.
It's a great show. And Lonnie Anderson, I mean, she was, obviously a heartthrob, a pinup girl back in the day. But I remember as much for being Mrs. Burt Reynolds.
That's right.
As I do being on WKRP. So
yeah. And Bone Crusher, I know that you've been in radio business for a long time. I mean, this show had to be one of those shows that, like, when you were growing up, was one of those key shows to pushing you to this side of the microphone.
Yeah, Dr. Johnny Fever, Venus Flytrap, big influences. And Dr. Johnny Fever, what's his real name?
It was Howard Hessman, I
Correct,
believe.
thank you. Howard said he apologized to everybody in radio that got into it because of him. So,
yeah,
that was a great character. And Jennifer Marlowe, the receptionist, always Herb Tarlick, always trying to get a date with her.
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, that was great. And then Les Nessman being the reporting person for them, that was just, all those guys, Venus Flytrap, man, it's just a plethora of emotion thinking about all of those shows, because, man, there were some funny ones, and then there were some that I didn't understand because I was too little. And but, man, when I saw it come across the screen, I was just like, we have to start the show. And, man, just I would say she's an icon. I mean, everybody in our, generation would remember her.
Well, I think that's it. This isn't so much into your teenage years, but your younger years as a boy, and you'd have those kind of girls that you looked at and like, oh, okay, nice. She was one. The other one that comes straight to mind, Daisy Duke.
Oh, yeah.
Catherine Bach. I mean, she was kind of the thing, too. So it was kind of, the young boys were all just like, all about Daisy Duke and Jennifer Marlowe. So.
Yeah, those are crazy. And so I don't know if you were traveling a lot last week. So Brian, we had our show on Friday, and it was Hulk Hogan Day for the state of Florida. And so what we did was we had, I think it ended up being about 7 or 8 callers in to give their best impersonation of Hulk Hogan. And we had those, but we also had the Rock call in, the fake Rock called in, and then the fake Macho Man called in as well.
Yeah.
So it was really good. And, we were just talking about all of those guys, growing up and being that. And what's crazy is that one of the callers, he started talking about, the wrestling at that time and how he loved it. And then one of the guys was talking about how that he used to put those posters on the wall and have the wrestling posters. And that was one of the things. But no joke, one of the guys that called in said, well, I also used to have Daisy Duke on my wall. And so that was another one of those things that kind of went into it, is like, who did you have on your wall growing up? And so Lonnie Anderson would have been one of those. Daisy Duke would have been one of those. Heather Locklear
for sure. Yeah, Christy Brinkley.
Yeah, so just having all of those was just like one of them type of things that like you said, it wasn't during the childhood, or it wasn't during your teenage years, but it was during your childhood.
That's right.
It just makes a big mark on you. And then obviously her being married to Burt Reynolds, and Burt Reynolds being, Burt Reynolds, for most people, they don't realize that, as far as the younger kids today, they don't realize that, he was a mega star.
Oh, he was the epitome of cool in the early 80s and in late 70s even, but, and played football at Florida State famously, but just the mustache and Smokey and the Bandit, and he was Burt. I loved when they did the Saturday Night Live Celebrity Jeopardies, and Norm Macdonald did an exaggerated version of Burt. It really wasn't that far.
No.
It was Burt was Burt. There's just no other way to describe him, and he knew who he was, and he could be prickly and he could be hilarious, but he was Burt, and he was just the epitome of cool.
Yeah, I can't remember which night show that it was. I can't remember if it was Letterman or I don't think it was Johnny Carson, but I think it might have been Jay Leno, one of those guys. But anyway, he just like you said, he just was his own dude, and he would answer however he wanted to, when he wanted to, and you never knew what would come out of his mouth. So he was a good interview, but a scary interview.
Oh gosh,
because you never knew.
Yeah, the 7-second delay might have been invented for him, because you never knew what you were going to get on television with Burt.
Yeah, and he played over there at Florida State, which is awesome. I do want to put a plug in. Tomorrow we will be talking to Chop Chat again. Taylor Devers talking about everything Florida State tomorrow. Don't forget that. Also, don't forget, if you have a question, if you have something you want to talk about, or text in, you can text in on the Red 7T's phone line, 850-215-6290. We'd love to have you be a part of the show. A lot of stuff going on over the weekend. One thing that I got to do this weekend, I want to talk about that for just a second, because I didn't realize, this point here. We went over to do some shopping over in Destin and Sandestin. They got the big shopping stuff going on over there.
Summer, I can't believe you're back.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. Like, I had to get a haircut on Saturday morning. My wife was like, okay, well, we'll leave around noon or 11:30. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? Get back at 8 o'clock? And she's like, oh, whatever. No, we'll be back in time. I'm like, no, we probably won't be. But about 7:30, we didn't get back.
Right.
But anyway, so I was over there and, just waiting on her, because I like to do the old drop off and go park the car. That gives me some time to kind of relax and be in the AC, because it was still hot.
Oh, yeah.
And so get on there, turn on the radio, and we've got plenty of reception over in Sandestin and Destin. So I was able to listen to 104.3 ESPN on the radio over there. And I just thought to myself, you know what? Come Monday, Santa Rosa, Sandestin, Destin, welcome.
Yeah,
if we haven't ever said it before, hey, we care about you guys too over there. If you're calling from Destin, or if you're listening from Destin or Santa Rosa, anywhere over in that area, give us a call. If you're a business and you want to be on the show, holler at us. We can help you out on that too.
I was going to say, I go you one better. I mean, if you're Facebook or YouTube, like I watched a couple of minutes when I had breaks of what I was doing while I was in Orlando.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, watching on YouTube, and I've even called in. Like I called in one time from Denver.
Nice.
One time when I'm doing that. So yeah, you can get anywhere in the world. But yeah, I mean, terrestrial radio, you get it well into Okaloosa County and you know, up to I-10, and I mean we've got quite a reach there. So certainly everybody, you know, feel free to call in.
Yeah,
it's not
you're
just
not
a Panama
kidding.
City show.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, I didn't really know how far we reached, but man, I was just like, hey, you know what? Monday, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
So awesome opportunity there, as well as don't forget also the ESPN Northwest Florida app. You can download that app for free, and you can take us anywhere like Brian's talking about. You can take us anywhere you want. Now, Brian, you said you were busy over the weekend. You got any awesome stuff that you were doing over the weekend?
Well, so we took the Southeastern Swimming, which is okay. There,
sorry.
Yeah, I was in echo.
I was in echo mode.
So our swim league, there's about 8,000 kids, and it's all of Tennessee, all of Alabama, and Panhandle of Florida, and 70 some odd teams. And we had an all-star team get selected, 48 11 to 14-year-olds, and they compete against 15 other leagues, which is from West Virginia to Texas to Miami.
Wow.
Like, it's a huge meet. It was in Orlando. And so I was kind of the person who made sure the hotel didn't burn to the ground and make sure all the kids got fed. So, yeah, I haven't slept much, and there's not many nerves left, but it was a great trip. The kids actually were very well behaved. Some from some other leagues, maybe not so much. Ours were good. And they had a great time. They swam really well. We actually came back and beat our big rival, which was Georgia. We beat them late on Saturday night, which was great.
That's pretty good.
Us old guard who used to battle it out with them all the time. We loved it. But no, it was a great time. Kids did a wonderful job. And it was actually one member from the Panama City team here who went, 12-year-old boy that went on the trip as well. So it was good to see. But a good trip. Glad I'm home. Glad I'm not staying up, walking around the hotel all night again, and really glad I'm not going to Sam's and buying cases of water.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was some kind of hot in Orlando.
That's crazy. I know that, like, growing up and having some things dealing with the church, just going and being on those big trips, the chaperones should be paid members because, man, they never get any sleep. They make sure everybody's in bed and then make sure, again, after everybody is supposed to be asleep, because you know how teenagers can be, or at least younger ones. They want to stay up all night long, especially in the hotels.
And a lot of the kids that age, it's their first time maybe where they're staying where it's not with mom and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the parents came down, especially being in Orlando. It was kind of a fun place to go, and some of them went on vacation afterwards. But a lot of them came down, but the kids stayed together, so they weren't. So, yeah, we always laugh. The 11 and 12 boys always fail to sleep the first night. They just do. They're let out of their cages, if you will. The girls are a little more mature. They understand why they're there. A little bit better. And the 13, 14 boys usually have been there maybe once, so they have a better sense. But, yeah, I love the 11, 12 boys. They're the most fun group there, but they're also the craziest.
Yeah.
They forget to shower. They stay up all night. There's things growing in their room by the end of the week. I mean, but they're hilarious.
So you mean
Good
that?
trip.
So the chlorine in the pool is not
It helps.
adequate?
It helps, but we had to mandate them. We were like, guys, you have to take a shower before y'all get back on the plane, because it's bad enough people see that many kids, coming on the plane. Like the eyes we used to getting on the plane, because it's Southwest. It's not. They're gonna go to assigned seating, but they haven't yet. But we always tried to take them to the back, but the eyes you would get when the kids come on like that. But, you throw in, they stink on top of that. So we made sure they did that. But, no, they were good. The chlorine does help during the week, though.
Did you have a bunch of Axe body spray? I mean, that would probably be...
We made them spray Febreze in their room every day twice. But no, we actually that's not a bad idea. We ought to just every time they come by to get something to eat, just spray the kids up and down with Axe body spray. I'm gonna make a note of that.
That could possibly be. I was thinking maybe that the whole hotel in the hallways just smelled like Axe body spray the whole time, and like when we used to go on trips when I was younger, we would always have the spray for the shoes, which, because at that age they start, getting close to that point to where the whole room smells like somebody's shoes, and then you have to sit them outside the hallway of the hotel, and then the whole hallway starts smelling like the shoes. So, those trips are fun. So, but that's cool.
It was a great time.
Is there any way you want to do a plug real quick for if anybody's interested in getting involved in some of these swim teams?
Well, yeah. I mean, I actually don't coach anymore per se, but I used to coach down here. But there's several in our listening area, actually. You have the Panama City swim team, which is based out of both in Panama City and out on the beach. So they swim out of Frank Brown, they swim out of Gulf Coast State College and out of Mosley High School. So you just check out PanamaCitySwimTeam.com. I think they're actually about to change their name. It's been Panama City Swim Team for like 60 years, so that's how I know it, because that's what it was the 12 and a half years that I coached there. But yeah, but if you look up Panama City Swim Team, it can direct you that way. And then over in Destin, Fort Walton, Niceville, there's a team called Coast Aquatics. Actually, a really good buddy of mine. We coached together in Nashville 25 years ago. And he's been down here now for, probably almost 15 years running their team. And they do a great job as well. So they go out of the old Destin YMCA. It's now run by the foundation, and out of the old Fort Walton YMCA, which is up on Beale Parkway, and I think they use a couple other pools around. So there's those two, and then there's a smaller team that's just gotten started in the last 2 years in Crestview, Florida. So I know we reach kind of right up near Crestview. So if you're in the Crestview area, the Crestview Tiger Sharks would be there as well. So
yeah, that's cool, because I was talking to my kid. My little boy plays travel baseball, and one of the trainers that I had spoke to, actually Ethan Hess from Hess Sports Performance here at the Panama City Beach, he stated that swimming is really good for like all athletics.
Sure.
So it really, so if you're one of those, that's a really good thing to get involved in, is swimming and teaching the right way and building those shoulders and strong shoulders.
It's all that, but also the cardio that you develop, because what we always hear, and it's a good thing when you have kids young, let them do a lot of different things. That's what's great about year-round swimming is everybody thinks, oh my God, it's year-round, it's such a commitment. And a lot of times what the teams build in is the ability for you to pick a couple of days and work in other sports with it.
Okay.
Which is nice. And what we always hear is, as kids get maybe 14, 15, they start to specialize more. Let's say you have some guys who maybe move into just basketball or into just football or whatever like that. When they stop swimming, you'll hear back from them and go, my God, like, I didn't realize how much effect that would have on my conditioning, because for the first time I feel tired, like when I'm on the court, because I was so used to all that cardio and things. But yeah, I mean, in terms of any kind of low impact muscle development is always going to be good. And so you get that in swimming: flexibility, coordination. Like I said, the aerobic capacity benefits are as good as anything. Probably the only thing close would be like cross-country running, or maybe even cycling, So yeah, it's very, very healthy, and it's one of those things you can do your whole life.
Yeah. And swimming is like, it's really good to be able to do, especially if living close to the ocean.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You'd probably need to do that just because you don't want to have any kind of problems when you're out there swimming. I was, when I first got to, come on as being the Afternoon Underdogs, a lot of people don't know this, but my actual first show was to come in and listen to you host the show and do the show. And
so what was great about that, I have to tell the listeners, what was great about that is I was guesting at the time, hosting, and I didn't have any idea you were coming in. And so I met you, but I did not know why you were here. I thought you were here as maybe a potential sponsor. And so I thought you just kind of wanted to sit in and see what happened. I had no idea you were looking to actually be on air, or I would have engaged you significantly more, because afterwards it was kind of like, how'd he do? I'm like, what do you mean, how'd he do?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what was he here? So I felt bad about that, but I think it probably ended up working out, whatever. But yeah, it was comical, maybe not at the time. I was a little upset because I felt like I'd shortchanged you, but no, it ended up great, and obviously it's worked out for you.
Yeah, it's been pretty good, and that was the thing, is like I was talking to someone about it, and I was like, I'm going to have Brian, he's coming back, and I'm going to make sure that I mention that, because it was just, it was cool because, and obviously I don't want to, fluff you up too much, but your professionalism behind the mic was really cool. And then,
thank you.
like when we were listening to the show that day, somebody had said, man, he's got a really great voice. And I was like, yeah, he does. So that's one of the big...
That's what you have to have when you don't have any looks.
That's right. Well, that was the first thing that somebody had asked me. Is like, man, how do you like talking on the radio? I was like, great, because I got, a decent radio voice, and I definitely have the face for radio.
Yeah,
so that's the biggest thing.
Must be a Mobile thing.
Yeah, it's got to be a Mobile thing, because a lot of people don't know that I went to Mary Montgomery, and Coach Brian Haddad went to Murphy.
I was Murphy first, then UMS.
Then UMS, yeah. So big time with Murphy and UMS, which are big juggernauts in the Mobile area, especially early on in the 80s and the 90s. Murphy was really good, had a lot of great football team. And then obviously what Coach Terry Curtis did over there at UMS for all those years, and still doing it over there for the UMS Wright Bulldogs. So either way, we are excited to be here and having some good time. We're going to go ahead and take our first break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about, should they have been in the Hall of Fame or not? You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs here at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Red 70s studio line is now open. 850-215-6290. Keep the game going with ESPN Northwest Florida. Just because you get out of the car doesn't mean the Sports Talk and Live play-by-play have to end. Just say, hey Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida. From Michigan Avenue to the man cave, from the car to the kitchen, we've got you covered. Keep the game going. Hey Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Monday. The remainder of the day, definite thunderstorms and very light rain, and 84 with a gentle breeze coming out of the south at 11 miles per hour. Tonight, very light showers with lows around 81. Tomorrow, definite thunderstorms and very light rain and a temperature near 88. Moving into Wednesday, about the same with a high of 89 and likely thunderstorms and moderate rain. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction, be part of a winning team.
Now, we're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. We don't sell the steak.
You can stir this all up.
We sell the sizzle. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Very spicy.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs with Paul Wilson. Don't forget to use the Red 7T's phone line. Call in, text 850-215-6290. We are excited to have you joining us today. We're going to get into it real quick. We're going to talk about the Hall of Fame. You know, one of the things growing up is that all of the guys always used to talk about the gold jacket. Just seeing the gold jacket, the bust out there in front of them. They were talking, they were giving their speeches, and it was always something that in my childhood I could remember. And, you know, now where we live in a society where we've got all of the analytics, we've got all of the online, audience that, you know, we're going to do a little bit of that real quick if we could, Coach Brian. We're going to talk about who made it, and then we're going to kind of try to look at what we believe because, you know, I'm one of those guys that longevity, playing good, you know, football is a big deal, but it's not always the stat hogs. You know, it's not always necessarily if you won because, you know, Barry Sanders was on a bad team for all those years, but obviously he was probably the best running back during his era. But when you look at these picks, there's some of them that I'm pretty good with, but then there's some of them that I don't really know. So I'd like to pick your brain on them. So you got Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Sterling Sharp. Yep. So Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Sterling Sharp. So out of those four, who do you think would be your number one pick out of those four? Who would you say is your best one?
I'm going to have bias toward my era more. Right. And for me, it's Sterling Sharp. Because I always thought he was one of, if not the most underrated wide receiver in football. Because you have to remember the eras have changed in football. When Sterling Sharp was playing, it was more of a running back league. It's not to say they didn't throw the ball. They did throw the ball, but you know, Dan Marino, 1984, was an anathema. I mean, it didn't happen.
Nobody else did it.
Now, you know, the fifth-place quarterback in the league, you know, puts up those numbers. Right. You know, so it's a different game, and it really started more around the late 90s into the early 2000s, and we'll get into that when we talk about, you know, Reggie Wayne, maybe a guy who didn't get in. He was somewhat of the benefit of the greatest show on turf and so the opening up of the passing game. So I always thought Sterling Sharp was a phenomenal receiver, and you got to remember, he did it in Green Bay. I mean, on the tundra. Yeah. You know, so it's not like he was playing in Miami or Houston or whatever like that with better climate. So I just thought he was an unbelievable talent. I can't believe it took this long for him to get in there. I really don't have any issue, you know, unfortunately, you know, for hot take reason with any of these guys getting in. But I think that's because the Pro Football Hall of Fame is so different than the others. Yeah. If you look at the Baseball Hall of Fame, it's 100% stars. You know, I mean, because everybody hits. So positionally, it's not that different. And pitching is your star. Yeah. Basketball, stars. Yeah. Football, you can have offensive linemen go in that hardly anybody's ever heard of. You can have, you know, Andre Tippett is a Hall of Famer, phenomenal linebacker. I guarantee you 99% of the American public would not know that he's a Hall of Famer. He should be. Yeah. But he's not a star. He's not a big stat hound. You know, some of the positions, quarterback, obviously, running back, wide receiver, you know, you've got a few occasional standouts on defense who are superstars, like a Lawrence Taylor or a Michael Strahan, and, you know, guys like that. So by its nature, the Football Hall of Fame maybe lacks a little bit of star power when it comes to that, but it's not that they're any less deserving or, you know, any lesser of an athlete. It's just the way the game is played. It's so position-based that a lot of those guys are kind of in the background, and you see it.
Well, when you see, like, some of the things that they talk about, even with the basketball, they talk about, oh, well, they were playing against plumbers. That's the thing that's going online because of the whole Jordan and LeBron and this era versus that era. And that's what you're seeing in football, too, is starting to bleed over, if you would, just those facts. And so, you know, he did what he did in 7 years, you know, obviously having to play in the tundra, playing. And so I believe he was deserving. Don't get me wrong. I believe that, you know, somebody else, well, we'll look at that a little little bit later, but he was one of those guys. I think he had 1,400 yards 2 seasons, and that's unheard of during that time. Yeah. And, you know, whenever he did go down with his neck, he still went back into the game and played, and played the next week, because that's just the era that he played in. You were tougher back then. You didn't have those nagging injuries that would just take you out.
And he wasn't his brother's size. He wasn't 6'6".
No.
He wasn't 240. He didn't run a 4.25.
Nope.
I mean, but he never got muscled out of position.
Right.
He caught the ball, which is an amazing thing nowadays. There's so many drops out there.
Yeah.
He always caught the ball. He always caught it in traffic. He was always in the right position, and he was tough. Like I said, if you looked at him, you think he's not that big, but he played big.
Yeah.
And, I mean, look, it probably didn't hurt that some of those years he had Brett Favre throwing to him, but not all of them.
Right. No, he wasn't he wasn't there the whole time.
That's right.
With Brett. And then when you think about how hard Brett threw the ball.
Oh, my gosh.
But you would see what you talked about, what you alluded to earlier is that the pass drops wasn't there. Right. If you watched him, they would put him in motion, they would put him in the slot, and then if they needed a 3rd down and 4, 3rd down and 5, he was just about going to get the ball, even if they doubled him, because they knew that he was going to catch the ball. And so, like, when you see that and then you enjoy the football game, like it seems like what we do, you're not looking for those stats that are so large, but you watch a game and you watch what's going on and you see those things. And so with him, for me, it was a good thing that he got in.
I agree.
Because the stats part of it is what I feel like that most of the people, and like you said, we looked at how they select them. It's only a 50-person member. It's not the sports writers and all these different people getting to do it, but it's like a select group of people that have been selected to select the Hall of Fame. And so you wondered if he ever would get his due. Obviously, I think Shannon pushed it really hard. I don't know if you remember his speech about him. And, you know, he was a big proponent. And so talking about Sterling, so at his speech, he takes his jacket off, and Shannon's on the stage with him, and he goes and he puts the jacket on Shannon and tells him, "Thank you for all that you've done for me, even though you were my little brother."
Oh, yeah.
Which is crazy to see the bond that they had, because you could just see it. And even with Shannon going through what he, has just been going through, and just being released from ESPN last week formally, it was just a good moment for those guys in which, so looking at them, and I think that's maybe the younger audience talking about, he shouldn't have done it because he only had, 1,000 yards receiving twice or 3 times in his career in 7 years and this thing. But like you said, you brought up the good point. It is all of a different game. It really is a different football game. And you can see that's why running backs, for the most part, don't get drafted first anymore. That's why they don't get drafted high in the draft picks. I know that Ashton Genty was a high draft pick this year, and it was a little bit because they had to have a running back.
Well, but think of it this way. How many running backs playing in the last 10 years do you think are actually going to end up in the Hall of Fame?
Right.
There's not going to be a lot.
Not many.
Most of them play, 3 years, and they're exchanged out.
Yeah. And it's just passed on.
The Adrian Petersons are such an anomaly.
Yeah.
Out there. And, of course, there's going to be people who don't want him to go in for things off the field, but whatever. But you're just not going to see. It's because the game has changed. It was very similar. If you really go back, and if it had been, look, I think the baseball writers of America are probably the worst group of human beings on the face of the earth. So I like that it's more of a select group that selects football, but I think that's why some of the receivers from the 60s and 70s actually did make it in, because they knew how important and how good they were, because statistically, your Lance Alworths and your Don Hudsons and you guys like that, they're not going to hold up.
No.
Largent finally put up some numbers, but before, your Fred Biletnikovs, who were, tremendous football players.
Yeah.
They didn't put up huge numbers because the game wasn't built that way.
No.
Back
totally different.
Yeah, you used to, in the 50s, you got penalized for an incomplete pass. You actually lost yardage.
Could you imagine that nowadays? If you did that nowadays, you'd be second and 37.
Oh, yeah.
After the first, you'd lose so many yards.
So I think it's definitely reflective of the eras, and I think we're going to start seeing fewer and fewer running backs make it into the Hall of Fame from this era for the same reason.
Yeah, and if you look at it, like I brought it up real quick just to give you the difference between a Sterling Sharp and then say the Reggie Wayne.
Yeah.
So Sterling only played 7 years,
That's right.
and then Reggie played 14. But if you look at it, you're going to say, well, it's not too bad because Sterling had 597 receptions compared to 1,070 for Reggie, and then 8,134 yards compared to 14,345 yards. But this number right here kind of gave me the number. He had 65 touchdowns in 7 years.
Yeah.
And Reggie had 82.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't that big of a difference in touchdowns. And you could say, well, it's because Marvin Harrison was on the other side. And that's part of it because, you know, Peyton did have to, you know, spread the ball out a little bit.
That's right.
But when you look at it, his numbers were just as impressive as Reggie Wayne's numbers. And you know as well as I do, Reggie's probably going to get in. It just was going to, they were probably going to go this way.
I think so. I think you're right, though. I think there were always a group of people who wanted Sterling Sharp in. I do think the fact that Shannon went in and you hate to say politic, but I do think that woke some people up to maybe were like, yeah, we'll do it because it's a cool story that they're brothers. But there were probably some people who woke up to, you know what, I maybe need to go back and watch footage of him a little bit more. And there's some people who realize, golly, we overlooked this guy. You know, Reggie Wayne will definitely go in.
Yeah.
I don't see any. And I had mentioned Greatest Show on Turf earlier. I was thinking of the Rams with Bruce and Holt.
Yeah.
Because it was another two-headed monster, Harrison and Wayne. But no, he's definitely going to go in. I like the fact that it's semi-exclusive.
Yeah.
You know, you do have a lot of different positions to get in, so maybe, you know, it's not as stupid as the baseball writers, you know, only having in history put one person in unanimously.
Right.
You know, I mean, who in God's name voted against Ken Griffey Jr.?
Yeah.
That person never needs to vote on anything again.
No.
I mean, anything.
Anything. And we just had Ichiro had one voted against him.
It's just dumb.
Yeah, it's not a, you know. And in that person, it almost feels like, well, that's a ego pick as well. So he wanted to get his name out.
Yeah, it's very much that, which is why I can't stand them and wish they didn't have a vote. You know? But with this football thing, I do think, but it's tough because you do have, again, you know, you have so many really great players at their position who come up available every year, and you look at them, were they one of the absolute greats of their era at their position? And that's what should make the Hall of Fame. Statistics are somewhat, you know, ways to equalize through the eras, but the eras are so different, it's hard to compare. I mean, how do you compare, you know, baseball from dead era to live ball era to night games versus no night games to, you know, steroid era versus non-steroid era, you know, and then with football, running versus passing versus how a DB makes it anymore at all is amazing because if you breathe on a receiver, it's pass interference.
Right.
Now. So
different.
The rules are constantly changing. So to me, what it always comes down to is, and this is why I like that football has some former players and things involved. What kind of player were you in your era? If you were the best linebacker in your era, you should be in the Hall of Fame, even if your numbers don't match up with a guy 30 years later.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it should not be, you know, we applaud you for being longevity, but your stats of because you've played 14, 15, 16 years, that in itself, to me, shouldn't allow you the ability to be selected to the Hall of Fame. You need to be, at least in some of the games you play, because you're going to play in an era that's going to have several Hall of Famers, at least some of the time you're going to be the best player in that game.
Stats are the best bad way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the way to say this. They're the best bad way to make this as objective as possible. Yeah. It is by nature going to be a subjective vote because it's a vote. Mm-hmm. Votes are subjective.
Yeah.
So stats are kind of a way to make it as objective as possible. But what is the old saying? There's lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Statistics. Yeah.
It's so you're never going to have a perfect system, but it is a way of trying to somewhat normalize and somewhat objectify a subjective process.
Yeah, and see, like, even when you look at because Terrell Suggs was one of the prospects. and then you had Jared Allen. Well, they played in the same.
That's right.
And so they played in the same era, and Terrell Suggs actually beat him out for Defensive Player of the Year.
Suggs was a better player.
Right.
However, Suggs is going to suffer a little bit from, there are going to be people who believe Suggs was great because he was a great player, but also because of the defense he played on.
Right. He
played with Ray Lewis. He played with Ed Reed. I mean, he played with Goose and those guys.
All of them.
Whereas Jared Allen had to stand out a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's not to say that, they hosed Terrell Suggs, but I'm sure there were some people in their mind who thought just maybe his greatness was a bit of a product of the team he was on.
Yeah, and
I don't think so, but some probably did.
Yeah, and that could be, that's those, again, that's that whole 50 people deal that, like, you're like, gosh, man, do you really know football, like, instead of just statistics? Do you know football, like, by who he played with and the system that he was in? And that's the biggest thing to me, because if you don't, and you go, they double teamed Jared. I want to see that number. Did they double team Jared Allen more that year than they did?
So that's the argument, is because Jared Allen may not have had as much behind him, did they focus more on him, and thus his stats are that much more impressive? And then by the same token, did Terrell Suggs benefit from the fact that you're scheming against Ray Lewis?
Yes.
Did he benefit by the fact that the quarterback was worried about Ed Reed, jumping a route or something like that, so he may have held on to the ball longer. So it is those, again, now here we come into the subjective arguments, and it gets difficult, but I don't think you can, to me, of the ones who did not make it in, I think Terrell Suggs is the best player.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Because you would think going into, if you swap those guys out, you would think that Terrell Suggs would still be productive. He was productive at Virginia Tech. You would think he would be productive and be a solid football player that would get his sacks, but also get the double teams. Because Jared Allen, playing for Minnesota for all those years, was getting double teamed. Because can you really name a lot of people from Minnesota on the defensive side of the ball?
Not so much.
Not
I mean,
like
this
Baltimore.
and not like the 70s Purple People Eaters.
Right.
That
No,
had,
he wasn't there.
No,
yeah.
But no, I mean, they had great players, obviously. But no, I think I'm not upset with it because I know Suggs is going to get in. I understand the mindset of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. I hate it when it's a surefire Hall of Famer like I believe he is, having to wait a year. Because people do make a big deal about first ballot Hall of Famers and all. At the end of the day, does it matter? Probably not.
Yeah, it probably doesn't.
It's got to be an ego.
I'm sure the ego,
the first time.
Because when you look at all those guys, and then, you got to think when you're playing on that team, on that Baltimore Ravens team for those many years that they were just so good on the defensive side of the ball, winning a Super Bowl with, it just left my mind who the quarterback was, because he's always brought up.
It's Dilfer, I think.
Yeah, so Trent Dilfer. Having Trent Dilfer as your quarterback, and everybody always discounting him because it's like, oh yeah, well, anybody could have played quarterback for that team. And then having a player like Terrell Suggs that he didn't tell Baltimore to draft him. He just went there and played the best that he could play. And he didn't tell Ray Lewis to be as dominant as he was, so he would cause the offensive coordinator to do that. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to see Terrell Suggs' name across.
No doubt.
He's going to be wearing the gold jacket. And, that's where one of those guys that people had talked about. The other person that they talked about real quick before we go on the break is that Eric Allen, because he did play a lot of years. He was one of those guys that you would never call him a shutdown corner, but you would just call him a good corner. Yeah. And so a lot of people online that I saw, they were like, don't love it. We'll give it to him just because he played a long time, and usually DBs, for the most part, don't play super long, but...
You know what he suffered from is DB is a position where a lot of guys are flashy.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
He wasn't.
He was what you'd call solid.
Yeah, he'd break up passes.
Yeah.
He may not pick it off, but he'd break it off.
But he wasn't doing dances, and, he wasn't...
Merton Hanks throwing his neck around.
Yeah, he wasn't, Pac-Man at the club at night, and he wasn't Dion, strutting and dancing and everything like this. So Eric Allen was just a good, old-school, solid corner. Didn't miss many tackles, was rarely out of position. Like you say, wasn't a shutdown corner, but he was always there.
He was always there.
And he was dependable, and he played for a long time. So, that's another one I'm glad those guys get in, because it is Hall of Fame, and fame does matter.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't him. He just went out and did his job and did it extremely well, and I'm glad that got rewarded.
Yeah, his interview was really good, too. It was solid, because he was talking about how he was just so thankful, because he's so thankful that he got recognized for something that he loved to do.
The ego involved at DB, because they get burned so many times.
Yeah.
But yet, if they break up one pass that they're supposed to do, it becomes this giant production of no,
don't come here.
Like, he did your job.
Yeah.
Just the fact that he was kind of a good, humble, solid player, I'm glad that got rewarded.
Yeah, when I was watching it, I was just like, he's a good dude. Like, you could just tell, you know what I mean? He was a good dude, and watching a lot of that. Well, when we come back, we're going to be discussing a little more of that, but we're also going to do some breaking news for the NFL. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs here at 104.3 ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Call or text him now on the Red 7T studio line. 850-215-6290. It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Monday. The remainder of the day, definite thunderstorms and very light rain and 84 with a gentle breeze coming out of the south at 11 miles per hour. Tonight, very light showers with lows around 81. Tomorrow, definite thunderstorms and very light rain and a temperature near 88. Moving into Wednesday, about the same with a high of 89 and likely thunderstorms and moderate rain. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Lone Star Boil House and Sports Bar, where the locals go for the best boiled seafood around. Crawfish, shrimp, red royals, and everything crabs. Watch almost every sporting event in the country on their huge outdoor jumbotron. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on weekly events, live music, and food and beer specials. Lone Star Boil House and Sports Bar, your home away from home for sports, good times, and great food. The best boiled seafood. Lone Star Boil House and Sports Bar, 320 West 5th Street, downtown Panama City.
Hewitt Tire and Auto has been in business in Panama City forever. Locals taking care of locals. From the smallest to the largest vehicles, they do it all. But don't take my word for it. Listen to the experts.
Hewitt Tire and Auto, your certified AAA service center and hometown towing. Visit them online at HewittTire.com on Airport Road in Panama City. 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
Every game matters, so don't miss a moment this summer as the Braves try to battle back in the standings.
Curveball swung on, belted, deep left field. Gone! Ronald Acuna Jr. 5-1 Atlanta.
Tonight, the boys are back in town, and Truist Park comes alive for the Braves and the Milwaukee Brewers live in Atlanta.
Braves back at home to take on the Brewers. 6 o'clock pregame, 6:15 first pitch. Your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios. They said it couldn't be done. The Afternoon Underdogs are live.
They say it can't be done.
Are we going to do what they say can't be done?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs with Paul Wilson here at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Don't forget to call in, to text in on the Red 7T's phone line, 850-215 888-267-6290. We are here in the CBC Construction Studios, and we're talking Hall of Fame induction ceremony this past weekend. The ending person, Antonio Gates, being one of those guys that you watch and you cannot deny the guy definitely deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, he's going to have his quarterback eventually in there. But one thing about him is that he is the first Hall of Fame football player to ever not play one down of college football, which is unbelievable.
That's amazing. I mean, just to think, the NFL being absolutely the cream of the crop, and college, you have, 90-person roster, really 100 and some odd.
Yeah.
And now it is 120 or whatever it is now, down to the 53-man roster in the NFL. It is so hard to make it in the NFL. And just think about not having any college football experiences is unbelievable. Like, I could see a kicker doing that, maybe coming from European soccer or something. But,
right.
But, yeah, tight end. Now, that being said, he was exactly the right athlete at exactly the right time.
Yep.
Because there was that hybridization of the tight end position with Gates, with Ben Coates, with guys of that era, and then ultimately taken to the next level with the Tony Gonzalez's, and now into what we see with Kittle and Gronk and Kelsey and those guys. Prior to Gates, what you had was primarily blockers who occasionally could catch a pass.
Right.
Then it became much more of a hybrid, almost like a really big receiver position who could also block a little.
Yeah.
And the ones who are really great are very good at both, but the blocking isn't as sexy as catching
Not anymore.
But if you really look at, watch Travis Kelsey. Gronk could block when he needed to block. I mean, so that's the thing. But Gates was part of that era of players that really changed the position. It probably benefited him in that he was starting to put up numbers that you didn't see out of tight ends very often, but no other tight ends at that time were putting up the numbers he was. Again, the greatness in the era.
Yeah, and he was a guy that could go up and get it. And so he would, a lot of times, he would take on the nickelback. And so they would have the nickelback guarding. Well, he would have 4, 5, 6 inches on him. And now understanding that he was a college basketball player who made the jump and played football, that was something that Phillip Rivers just would throw it up and let him go get it.
The change in the tight end position changed the safety position.
Right.
It just took about 5 years.
Yeah.
For them to adapt, because your safeties were not big, 220, 230, 240-pound guys. They were 200-pound guys.
Yeah, they were twos.
They were center fielders. And now they had to come up and not only do some run stop, but they had to really get up there and man up. Basically, it depended on the system you played. It might even be some level of a linebacker who was taking on these, or if you were into a little bit more of a nickel situation or something, you'd bring that strong safety up and they would key the tight end, and they had to get bigger and faster at the same time because the tight ends were bigger and faster and could jump out of the roof.
And just being able to use him, if you look at their numbers for that, I would say it was like an 8-year, 5 to 8 years. Gates would be the number one receiver on that team a lot of times. And that was never seen before, because growing up, you would see Todd Christensen with the Raiders. You would see Dwight Clark with the 49ers. All of the Moose Johnson, those guys. Well, he was a fullback. But
Keith Jackson with the Eagles.
Keith Jackson with the Eagles. Right. Those guys wasn't the number one. They wasn't who you would go to. If you needed 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, and you had to pass.
They were like a little 8-yard button hook.
Yeah, that's all they would do. Right. Yeah. And now you're seeing they're running all the routes now on the tree. The tight end position, realistically, you could say was transformed with the Gates and the Gonzalez, because
100%.
they were making you guard them. They didn't just go out there and just throw it up in the air or all that, but they were really doing it. And the thing about Gates is, with his story and how he was doing it, he got his time at the podium. And obviously, Phillip Rivers was there, and Phillip Rivers was wearing glasses with a hat, and Gates totally broke down and just thanked him.
Yeah.
And just said, we did it, buddy. We we all those times where we worked hard and we talked about it and we were doing this and doing that, and then you could see Rivers wiping his eyes, and it was just like, man. So as soon as Phillip Rivers is available to get to be in that quarterback era of going into the Hall opportunity, I think he's got 2 years left, something like that. Him and Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger played longer, I believe. And then,
think that's right.
But they all came out at the same time because you had Eli, Roethlisberger, and Phillip Rivers.
They were all the class of 04.
Yeah, they all came out together. And so I think it's going to be like Eli was available this year, Rivers will be available next year, and then Roethlisberger will be available that following year because of how long they played.
But, part of the thing that was interesting about Gates being so, thankful and like that is it really goes to show the nature of the team game of football because baseball and basketball are team sports. But basketball, there's 5 players on your team. You have a lot more control about what's going on.
And you can take over the game.
That's
you can take it over.
Baseball, you're the one at the plate.
Right.
It's in your hands a lot of times. But with football, you think about a guy like Antonio Gates. He needs Phillip Rivers to deliver him the ball.
Yeah, he can't just do it. Yeah, he can't make it.
So your greatness is wholly dependent upon someone else getting you the ball at the right time in the right position. So not only do you have to do your job well, but you are relying on people more. The quarterbacks, they have that with their offensive line, but they have more control probably than anybody else. Everybody else is very dependent on that. So I think it's a really good thing that he acknowledged that, and I think it's probably going to be more defined in football than anything else because you are so much more dependent on your teammate for your greatness.
Yeah, and he wasn't one of those flashy guys. He didn't spike the ball. He wasn't one of those that would do. It seemed like he was there strictly on business, and I don't know if that's just his personality or that's just his approach to the game because you didn't have the college film to watch him play and progress into all that. But he was never one of those guys that you would call flashy, but you can put him in that discussion that he was a transformative player
100%.
In the NFL, and everybody that comes after him, all of those guys have to thank him, and even that had to make the college coaches start looking at the power forwards in college and start grabbing them to come play football for their team.
Well, Gonzalez played both. Obviously, we talked about, and off air we were talking LeBron when he played football, played tight end. And, I mean, imagine him as a tight end, as big and as high as he could jump.
Yeah.
But, there's 2 ways to kind of look at what you were saying, the transformative players. I think there are players who, by their sheer talent, transform the position. I think that's a Lawrence Taylor kind of player. I mean, it was more of an edge, more of a speed, just reckless abandon kind of player, which I think was different. And I think his talent changed the linebacker position. I think the other way is that the rules somewhat change it. Gates is kind of in between. It's hard to say because I do think some of the rules changed the way, and I think it benefited an athlete like Gates. But again, he was one of the best, if not the best, in that time. So I have no problem calling him a transformative player. I don't know if it was sheerly his ability that transformed the position. I think part of it was rules.
Yeah.
But
definitely his athleticism.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, his athleticism was, being able to play, being able to be a college basketball player and then coming out to the NFL and playing against guys that were going to be smaller than you because he always faced the power forward. You were always going to play a bigger, stronger, kind of a meatier guy, whereas now you're having that safety come up or that nickelback come up that's a smaller, or you get switched in on somebody, or you line him up out as a wide out or whatever. And so him being big boy, being able to have good hands and be able to do that, he transformed it from that as well. I agree with you on the system of changing the rules because that's really where we are today. And they've done that all across the board because they make it more of an entertainment game to get the stats. People don't want to come see defensive shutouts anymore in the NFL. They want you to. They want to see the 40, the 50 point scores. They want to see the long.
They do.
They don't. They do. And you know that's it. And
That's true.
just like baseball, they want to see the home runs. It doesn't matter, if you are playing small ball. They want to see the home runs. In the NFL, they want to see the long passes. They want to see their quarterback scramble around.
What was
throw.
the game 5-6 years ago? It was like Rams Chiefs, and it was like 58-56 or something. And it was everybody thinks that's one of the greatest games ever. One of the best games I ever saw. And I'll readily admit this, growing up an Alabama fan, Auburn LSU, I think it was 7-6. It was the earthquake game.
Yeah.
One of the greatest football games I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
7-6.
Yeah. I mean,
it was great.
And that's the thing. It's
but it's taste.
But it's gotta be
different.
yeah.
And I understand why you like shootouts aren't for me.
Well, when we come back, we'll be discussing a little bit more. We got some NFL news breaking at the beginning of the hour. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Call in now.
This is Touchstone Service.
The Red 70s studio line is open.
Demonstrate how to make a call with your dial telephone.
850-215-6290. ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Dan Patrick Show.
I got this on good authority from somebody with the NFL. The 18th game is basically going to be a complete TV package of you have the international games. Every team will have a home base outside the United States. That's how they want to grow the game.
It's the Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings from 9 till 11. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Monday's weather. Tonight there will be a light breeze out of the south, likely thunderstorms, and very light rain at 81. Moderate rain and likely thunderstorms tomorrow morning, about the same at 85. In the afternoon and evening, likely thunderstorms and very light showers and a high of 85. About the same at 86 Wednesday, and we'll have moderate rain and likely thunderstorms. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WPLQ Port St. John. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Show off your style and drive away in a new 2025 Kia K4 or K5 from Bill Bird Kia. The 2025 K4 delivers sleek design, smart safety features, and an impressive fuel efficiency. Are you looking for something with a little more space and a confident sporty appeal? The 2025 Kia K5 delivering a sleek design, smooth ride, and advanced driver's assistant features, all designed to keep you safe and comfortable on every drive. Now offering 2.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia K4 or K5. Bill Bird Kia is the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at Bill Bird Kia, PanamaCity.com. Discover what drives you at Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia K4 or K5 with $22.09 per 1,000 financed in 48 months. Quality limited cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 8/4/25.
Transmitting from the CBC Construction Studio. Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local. 850-215-6290.
When you've completed dialing, listen for the ringing signal.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs with Paul Wilson here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. It is 5 o'clock, and you guys are on your way home. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to us. We've got some exciting news coming up. Don't forget to call in on the Red 70s phone line. 850-215-6290 is the number. You can call, you can text. We want you to do one or two of those things. Sounds good to me. Listen, today they just dropped it. The coaches' top 25 for college football, and there's some people on there that we've got to talk about. There's some people that I don't know if they should be on there. I don't even know if they should be even close to being on there. But I'll tell you what, Brian, why don't you just talk to me about some of the ones that are on there or maybe not on there already.
This is why college football is so great, because let the arguments begin. It is rare that in a preseason poll, the others receiving votes is the talk of the town. But it seems like that is, and it makes sense in our area, but nationally, one of the biggest talking points out of this first poll was Florida State received 8 votes. And, you know, obviously you're coming off a 2-10 year. You would think, what in the world are these people thinking? But I'll approach it from this end of things. I have no ties to Florida State. I'm not afraid to walk out the door. I say enough things that'll get me killed, on a given day. I'm not worried about that. But I do think this, in this era of college football where you can completely revamp your team in a year, as we saw with Arizona State a year ago.
Yes.
I don't think it's crazy they received a few votes. If they'd have been like 14th, that'd have been crazy. But here's the thing. They changed both coordinators. They brought in a very experienced offensive coordinator in Gus Malzahn, who got his type of quarterback, Thomas Castellanos. You don't have DJ back. He wasn't the whole problem last year. Look, say what you want about Florida State last year. It was a team effort.
Yeah, it was definitely somebody else.
It wasn't just
one person.
But they made a ton of changes, which you can do in the game now. So I can see it. A lot of people are going to say, I want to see, 5-6 games in. But I don't think them getting 8 votes is that crazy, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think you're totally wrong because 8 votes for Florida State, a 2-10 team, bringing in a lackluster style of quarterback, bringing in a somewhat, what do you call Gus Malzahn? I understand.
A national championship winning offensive coordinator. That's what you call him.
And that's been in a long time ago. I'm talking about now. What did he do at UCF? Why did he leave Auburn if he was so great? That's where I'm going. I'm not a big fan of Gus Malzahn, so obviously that.
Yeah.
But 8 votes, it just seems like too many. I mean, if you'd have said, hey, Florida State got 1 vote, okay, that's doable. Maybe 2. But 8 votes for the Seminoles off of a 2-10 season that they used the portal to bring in. Mike Norvell didn't seem like he even knew what was going on last year. DJ Uiagalelei was a disaster. Is Castellanos going to be better? Is he going to be worse? Is he going to be hurt? What? I don't know. But 8 votes, Brian. 8.
Yeah.
How?
That's easy. They completely revamped everything other than Norvell.
So everything but Norvell is going to bring...
Can't be worse.
Yeah.
We're not talking about what my boys at Mississippi State did. They were 2-10 last year too, and I don't see that much got different.
Did they?
I'm worried about that.
Did they get a vote?
No.
Did Mississippi State get a vote?
Buffalo got a vote. Mississippi State did not.
Oh, Buffalo got a vote. Mississippi State.
Vanderbilt got 3. Kansas got 6. Those are the 3 teams who got at least 1 vote who received fewer than Florida State.
So if you're a Florida State fan and you're listening right now, why don't you call or text the 850-215-6290. I don't think they should get 8 votes. Do they deserve 8 votes after having that
I explain this.
Go ahead.
Colorado got 12 votes.
12?
Colorado lost in their entire production from a year ago.
Right. And they got 12?
They got 12.
Who's voting?
I don't. Well, coaches?
What are they looking at?
Deion doesn't have 12 votes. Well, I don't know. He might. He's prime time.
He could have.
No, but I mean, I can understand coaches saying, we trust Gus Malzahn as an offensive coordinator. We didn't necessarily love him as a head coach, but as a coordinator, he's great, and he's got his type of quarterback. That's probably worth 3 or 4 wins by itself. And let's face it, if you're going to be around 25th, you're 8-4, maybe even 7-5.
Yeah, that's a good
in there.
point.
So if you can get to that 50% range, my point is, I get it. Again, if they were ranked, I'd have a little more of an issue with it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we've got some we can look at in the poll. So, looking in the poll, who looks too high to me? Michigan at 14. Sorry, Michigan, Eddie. They were not a very good team last year. Now, they got this all-world freshman quarterback who's never taken a snap in college football. And they just lost 2 of the best defensive players. I thought the 2 best players in the draft were McDonald and Graham.
Yeah.
I loved them.
They were good.
And they lost them off of their defense. So I think 14's a little high for Michigan.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Michigan is one of those programs as well, is that the Big Ten is getting better.
Yeah.
So you got Indiana, you got Oregon. I think USC is probably going to be a little bit better. So you got those teams. You got Penn State already, Ohio State already, obviously. But those wins aren't going to just come by anymore. Then you got Illinois that's popping up.
So right in that range is where I have my issues. I think Ole Miss might be a little low at 15. I think they should be a little higher. South Carolina at 13, I get it. You have Sellers coming back. They had a good year last year. South Carolina traditionally has not followed up a good year with another one. That's my worry, but I get them at 13. Illinois at 12 seems a bit of a reach for me. It almost seems like they're going to be the darling, the Indiana of a year ago, maybe. And look, Bielema does a good job there, but they may seem a little bit high to me. I'll be honest, Miami at 10 seems high to me.
That does seem high. I think Illinois might be right, and the reason why is that I believe that Bielema is doing something there because I believe he has a recipe for winning in the Big Ten. Obviously, you got the new teams that are coming in, but Bielema himself, I believe, is a good head football coach. I believe that. And so with him coming in, having his years there, getting his grounding, so to speak, and kind of having how they play the game, I think he plays it the right way. I think they will do good. I don't know realistically if Michigan or even South Carolina being there. I think South Carolina is going to get the nod because, like you said, they got the preseason hype of having Sellers coming back. And realistically, when you look at all of the teams, if they have a starting quarterback that's done some good, that's what they're going to probably base it off of. And seeing some of the things that Sellers did do last year, he's probably the realistic reasoning behind them doing that.
There's some teams on this list maybe I don't feel as strongly about, but I understand why they're where they are. Florida at 17, I get. You got Lagway coming back. You've got a better team and a team that really turned it around well at the end of last year. But the schedule that they got is going to be brutal.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
But I'm not upset at them being at 17. I personally don't know that they're going to be as good as other people think, but I get that one. I mean, there's probably a lot of Florida fans think they're too low.
Yeah. I mean, because this year is supposed to be the year. The people,
that schedule is brutal.
It is so hard to, well, if you remember, it was hard last year, too, and they took the blunt of it.
I personally don't think LSU's a top 10 team. I get why they're there preseason.
Right.
Again, Nussmeier's coming back. A lot of people like him. I don't.
Yeah.
I think LSU's really going to have a hard time this year. Now, I also thought they were going to fire Brian Kelly last year. May have gotten a little closer at one point, but I just don't see it with LSU at 9. But again, I understand it.
The thing with LSU that's so remarkable to me, obviously he's a coach's son. They've been pushing him for a while. And he's experienced. He's smart.
Yeah.
He's got a good arm. I believe all of those things. He tore up the Manning camp. But you don't have SEC defenders coming after you in the Manning camp, and that's one of the things, like, for him that I didn't see very good. I didn't see him getting outside of the pocket and being able to escape, being able to throw on the run, being able to be a little bit more mobile. And unless he's lost some weight or found a speed coach, I don't think he's going to be able to be as good as they think he's going to be, even though he's got elite talent arm. Because when you have those big guys coming from the SEC that are coming after you, you've got to be able to make a move or get the ball out quick. And all of those things, he's not produced that.
Right.
So I agree with you, having LSU in the top 10. And you know what? The fact of the matter of all of it is that they have a tough feat that first week. And if they're really pretenders instead of contenders, you'll be able to see it when they play Clemson. I guarantee that.
Oh, yeah, and that's the other problem they have. They have other than Texas, Ohio State, that's the toughest week 1 game that's out there. And week 1, this day and age where everybody's on social media and everybody can jump after 4 games or whatever like that, you start the season with a loss where it seems like it's national champ. Now, I know we have the playoffs now and you can still make it in, but it still messes with these guys' heads.
Yeah.
When you feel like, all right, my mulligan's gone. It's when you hit that mulligan on the first tee shot. It's like it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, so you get a little bit worried there, but I don't know. I mean, well, let's have fun with this since you and I are both, born and bred Alabama fans. They're sitting at number 8. Do you think that's too high or too low?
I'm going to take it's too low. And the reasoning behind it is that they kept everybody. Second year, they upgraded with the offensive coordinator. They've got some experience with Ty Simpson at quarterback. Now, 2 weeks ago, it was either Greg McElroy or A.J. McCarron said that we as Alabama fans need to be patient. Well, I don't like patience when you're talking about a quarterback. That scared me a little bit. So that made me feel like I don't really know. I have very high hopes for our wide receiver corp because they've been really good. I've heard a lot of good coming out of the offensive line, which is going to be very huge for us. And then I've heard that the defense, in which you've seen the numbers from the back end of the defense, and I said this last week, but this Alabama defensive backfield reminds me a lot of the LSU Tiger defense, where they're long, athletic guys. So I think for me, for Alabama being number 8 right there, I don't think that that's a very good one. And maybe my fandom is coming through. One caller texted in. He said, "Tell Coach Brian, Bama is too high."
I don't think they're too high. I'll take the position they're right where they should be preseason, because there is that worry about Simpson. I think Simpson has the opportunity to have a Mac Jones kind of year.
Yeah.
Because everybody coming into that season said, start the freshman. Who was that? It was Bryce Young. They're saying the same thing with Russell.
Yep.
I think people forget Ty Simpson was a 5-star passer. He's got great receivers. Now, I've heard this offensive line was going to be phenomenal for the last 5 years, and they've been terrible.
Yes.
So if it's there, that's good. Kane Womack is low-key one of the 5 best defensive coaches in football. And that's going to become more and more evident. They did a wholesale philosophy change last year in the way that they line up from the way that Saban had recruited them. So I think you're going to see good stuff, and I think they're going to be a top 4 or 5 team at the end of the year, and they might even make a real run. But I'm okay at 8 for preseason because I understand the questions and I understand who's above them.
Yeah, I like the underdog way better than I like the overdog. Yeah. And,
but I'll be honest, Bama's schedule doesn't line up super for them.
Right.
It's not Florida bad.
Yeah.
It's also not Missouri easy. No. But there's some hiccups.
Yeah, there's some big-time problems that could possibly be. Lynn Haven Robb said that, look out, LSU. FSU was a number 10 starting out the season as well. So there we go on that. That's a good point, Robbie, that you made right there, my friend.
The one I'm not as sold on this year as compared to last year is Oregon at 7. I don't, and I'll readily admit it's because I don't know enough about them.
Yeah.
I knew what we were getting in terms of experience and poise at the quarterback position with Dylan Gabriel. Lanning, I think, is a good coach. I think he's gotten a little bit more benefit than maybe has been him yet.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't know. Oregon, to me, we're talking about a team that went undefeated through the regular season last year, made the playoffs, but I don't know if I see it. I don't think it's crazy that they're 7, but I'm not so sure they're going to be there at the end.
I'm not sure about them either, and the reason behind that is that I think they'll play good defense because I do trust Lanning as being a good defensive coach. But, like you said, that quarterback position, you got to be able to not lose games when you play in the Big Ten. When you look at how good they're starting to be, the talent level is going, spreading out a little bit more in the Big Ten. But when you added those teams, it helps. With Oregon being able to give the Nike money, I just saw a couple of days ago, they flipped the kid out of St. Paul's High School in Mobile, Alabama. From Alabama. He had dreamed of being an Alabama football player his whole entire life, but Nike money came to play.
Game. Go out and get your Nike money, and after a year, go to Alabama.
Yeah, you can just transfer and come on in. But I don't believe that Oregon's going to be that good either as far as like being that high. I don't think that definitely won't do what they did last year.
St. Paul's my high school rival, so to heck with him. He can go out to Oregon for all it is. But
doesn't matter.
Clemson and Notre Dame are interesting. I think they should flip them. They've got Clemson at 6, Notre Dame at 5. I know Clemson kind of seems like the darlings, but I think there's reason to that. You got to also remember, Dabo's the one guy who has not gone hardcore into the transfer portal, and everybody said that's been a detriment, and I think in some years it has been. But what that also does, this is a foundation of players who've been playing together for years.
Yeah.
And they have that good returning quarterback that a lot of people are projecting as the number 1 quarterback to go in Cade Klubnik. This could be a special team for Dabo. That week 1 game with LSU is just as big for Clemson as well.
Dabo has proven before, because if you remember, Trevor Lawrence did not wow you with his throws necessarily because he had the great wide receivers on the edge, but Cade Klubnik is going to run the football, and that's going to help them, and that's going to make their team a lot better. They had that converted wide receiver that now's their running back, and he's really fast, and he's the same size as Derrick Henry. Yeah. So, and that's the thing about them, is they're going to be one of those teams that you better watch, because the ACC is not going to be a very good conference this year.
That's
I
right.
don't believe
And
they're going to be good.
Notre Dame's not going to be as good a team as they were last year, but their schedule will line up enough to where they'll be in this mix.
They'll make the playoff.
So them being top 10 is 5. That's okay. Georgia at 4, I mean, spoiler, Georgia's my national champion, and I think Georgia's not going to play for the SEC championship, and then they're going to win the national championship. I think they're going to do what Ohio State did a year ago.
I believe that it's going to all be based on Gunnar Stockton's arm and his ability to be able to get the ball out quick and be able to make the right decisions. Have they worked long enough with him? Have they put him through? Has Mike Bobo really spent the time with him to help him understand? He's been there for a while. He should already know his style. He should already know the offensive playbook. But is he going to be one of those PTPers, as what our guy Dick Vitale used to say? Is he going to be that guy? If he is that guy, Georgia could be scary. If he's not that guy, Georgia could have one of the worst years that they've ever had under Kirby Smart.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I mean, you're right. Obviously, they could have not a special year,
right?
If he just or if he goes down right away. I mean, look, we don't know as much what's behind him. They had an embarrassment of riches in the quarterback room a year ago.
Yeah,
it's a little bit thinner now than it was then. But if you look at the top 3, I think you can flip a coin on Ohio State or Texas at 1-2. But the wild card in this bunch is probably Penn State. I haven't been a fan of James Franklin, but I love what they have coming back on offense. If they had not lost Carter off of that defense, I'd have Penn State number 1.
Yeah.
I just think Drew Aller was the number 3 quarterback on most draft boards before he pulled himself out.
Right.
He's really talented.
I think so, too.
Now, they're in the Big Ten, but their schedule's not as bad this year. I'm okay with them where they are. We'll see if they get that preferential run through the playoffs like they got a year ago. But I do think that helped with their experience. Their defense, now they've got Ohio State's defensive coordinator now.
Yes.
So we'll see how that plays in. But Penn State, of all, Notre Dame, I don't think is as good, and Oregon, I don't think is as good, but they make sense there. Penn State's the wild card. They could be number 1. They could be number 10.
Yeah. What do you think is your biggest shocker out of the whole group, being on the list or being where they are? Who's your biggest shocker?
Michigan at 14 was the one that jumped out to me, and maybe Miami at 10.
Yeah, that's good ones. I think for me, I think Elko's going to turn the page a little bit. I think they're going to get a little bit better.
I'm not sold.
I think they'll be better than they were last year, and I think with the experience that they do have coming back, I think they'll put some things together. I think they will be one of those teams that'll beat a Georgia or the South Carolina, whatever. I haven't looked at their schedule too much.
Either way,
I think they'll do something. I think they'll have some game this year that they won't be expected to win, that they will win, and then everybody will be talking about them.
Either way, you have 9 SEC schools in the top 21.
Yeah.
They're not all going to be there.
No.
They're going to beat each other up. Who's going to be the team of those 9 that just slides off face of the earth? Maybe it's Tennessee.
Maybe it's Tennessee.
Wouldn't hurt my feelings.
Mine either. Not at all. And when we come back, we will be discussing PCB Hobby. They're in the building. We're going to be definitely talking to him about all the stuff that's coming up. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs with Paul Wilson here at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Oh, this is top.
Killing the game. Call or text us now on the Red 7T studio line. 850-215-6290. ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Be patient with Ty Simpson. He's going to be just fine. And that scares me to death when I hear somebody close to the program saying, be patient. I don't want to be patient. I want to be ready. I want to be excited. I want to be, let's get the bells and whistles out and be ready to blow explosions up because we're going to score 40 points a game.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Monday's weather. Tonight there will be a light breeze out of the south, likely thunderstorms, and very light rain at 81. Moderate rain and likely thunderstorms tomorrow morning, about the same at 85. In the afternoon and evening, likely thunderstorms and very light showers and a high of 85. About the same at 86 Wednesday, and we'll have moderate rain and likely thunderstorms. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
When it comes to building smart and roofing right, TK Vandy's is the name you can trust. They're your go-to for general contracting, design build solutions, and top quality roofing. From concept to completion, they deliver excellence on time and on budget. Whether it's a custom build or a complex renovation, they've got you covered, literally. Call TK Vandy today and build something better together. TK Vandy, built with purpose, roofed with pride.
Every game matters, so don't miss a moment this summer as the Braves try to battle back in the standings.
Curveball swung on, belted, deep left field. Gone! Ronald Acuna Jr. 5-1 Atlanta.
Tonight, the boys are back in town, and Truist Park comes alive for the Braves and the Milwaukee Brewers live in Atlanta.
Braves back at home to take on the Brewers. 6 o'clock pregame, 6:15 first pitch. Your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida.
When it comes to building smart and roofing right, TK Vandy's is the name you can trust. They're your go-to for general contracting, design build solutions, and top quality roofing. From concept to completion, they deliver excellence on time and on budget. Whether it's a custom build or a complex renovation, they've got you covered, literally. Call TK Vandy today and build something better together. TK Vandy, built with purpose, roofed with pride.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. From the diamond to the end zone, from the studio to the sideline, we're the destination for sports on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm your host today, Paul Wilson. We are excited that you have chose to be with us today. We have a lot of stuff going on. We've got Todd in the building with PCB Hobby. Now, Todd, we're so thankful that you're here today, and we appreciate your sponsorship here at ESPN. And I just want to tell you that I used to be a huge baseball, basketball, football card collector, but got out of it, put all of my stuff in the garage, hoping for it to be my retirement plan, but later on realized that it was the year that they just decided we're going to put new cards out every day of the week and flood the market.
Been there. Happy Monday, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? How you guys doing today? Of course, we have all kinds of craziness going on at PCB Hobby. We've hired like 26 new people. I'm just kidding. 3.
You may not be.
But it's a lot. So we have some new sports card guys. Pretty excited about that. Hadn't had a chance to really talk about that, but we got 3 new sports card guys working at the retail location. Probably going to be expanding some of our streaming and stuff like that, which is going to be great. And we've had all kinds of great things go on for us lately. One that I wanted to talk about real quick was San Diego Comic-Con, also known as SDCC. The crew got back late last Tuesday evening, and of course I didn't get to be here on Monday and tell everybody about it, so I wanted to give you guys a few ins and outs of what went on. It was cool. It was big. It was huge. If you don't know what SDCC is and San Diego Comic-Con, it is the Super Bowl, literally, of Comic-Cons throughout the country. So it's the largest, and it was massive. I want to say they said 140,000 people came through.
Wow.
Which is very massive. And we had our booth. We sold some of our exclusives. We had artist streams. We got to see all kinds of high-end people. I got to watch Frank Miller's documentary. That was really cool because a couple weeks ago we had Frank Miller actually at our PCB Hobby location, so that was a lot of fun. We got to see them again. Got to see a ton of artists, got a lot of signatures, bought a lot of exclusives. One of the hottest things in the industry right now is what's called blind bags. And so it's kind of like sports cards. You open a pack and you never know what you're going to get. But you kind of know what you're going to get. If you open up a pack of Topps Chrome, you're going to get Topps Chrome cards. Well, if you open up a blind bag for a comic book, it's usually centered around some sort of theme. Like they had blind bags for Something is Killing the Children, which is a comic book title. So you could get one of several different types of Something is Killing the Children comic books. We also had Superman blind bags, which it was all Superman themed comics in the blind bags. And those have been hot on the stream. So we are making plans to do all kinds of awesome blind bags for PCB Hobby. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up that what we've been doing and what we've been getting into with the comic side of things. Like I said, we are expanding our sports card side of things. Hopefully we'll be seeing some new streaming going on, some new streamers after we get these guys trained up. It's all on Brian's shoulders. Anyways. See
the way you said trained up to me?
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly. But other than that, it's been going really good. We got Terrificon this weekend. That is in Connecticut. So two guys are going up there. Big Kern and Judson are going up there. They're going to hit that. We're going to get the creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kevin Eastman. We're going to be doing some stuff with him, so that's pretty cool. And then we got the guys going to the New Orleans Card Show once again. So we got a group of guys going over there for that. Same-o on the coin stuff. 2 weeks from this week, we will be at the ANA, which is the American Numismatic Association. We'll be at the ANA coin show, and I think they also call it the World's Money Fair of Money. I think, but it's called a couple different names. But it's in Oklahoma this year, so that'll be interesting.
That's cool.
So Devin's going to be going up there for that.
Nice.
And we'll be getting a lot of new inventory for our coin streams as well. If you guys haven't figured it out, we stream all the time on eBay Live. We are at PCB Hobby. At PCB Hobby on eBay Live. Open up that app. At the very top, you'll see the very first button says eBay Live. Click it, and I guarantee you'll see a PCB Hobby stream going on. Whether it's TCGs, whether it's coins, comic books, or sports cards, we always got something going on.
So before I get into the sports end of things, I wanted to ask you something because, and I'm really kind of picking at you as well, because almost everywhere this man goes, I mean, he's the captain. But he's the most.
I saw that with the hat. I was going to ask you,
but
are
listen,
you the captain?
Captain Collectible.
But he's also the most famous Todd in nearly every picture he takes. However, I saw a picture this weekend where I'm pretty sure you were the second most famous Todd in that picture.
I was. So when we were in San Diego Comic-Con, I was blessed to be able to go to a party that was put on by CGC. CGC is the one that does comic book grading. So they're the third party, and they are the #1 comic book grader in the world. And so we use them exclusively to submit our comic books. And so they had a party, and I got invited to go, and Todd McFarlane was there.
Oh, wow.
Todd McFarlane, the toy creator and the comic book creator, Spawn. Right, and so I got to talk with him, and I got a picture with him. Of course, I posted it on Insta. Anybody wants to follow me on Instagram, go to PCB Hobby. You'll see collaborated with PCB Hobby Todd.
There you go.
PCB Hobby Todd. Anyways, I am Captain Collectible. And
I love it.
And I have the captain look, obviously, you can tell. So that's what we've been rolling with. We're going to be doing all kinds of stuff soon at the store also with myself. We're going to be reshooting commercials for our commercials on TV. So that's going to be fun as well. So you'll see me around the shop a little bit coming up soon. So if anybody wants to come down and meet me, I'll be at the shop on the 13th.
There you go.
Not that you're supposed to be there on the 13th, but we may need you in our commercial.
There you go.
Hey.
So anyway, so what do we got going on in sports?
Well, I mean, across the board, we have Super Saturday coming up this Saturday, which is always a blast. Second Saturday of every month. What we've got is 10% across the board on sealed wax products. So that's going to be sports, but also TCG.
All right.
So Pokemon, Magic, all of that. So sealed wax plus, you spend $75 in the shop on sealed wax that day, you get to spin the wheel for even more prizes. And I'm telling you, it's perfect timing because Topps Chrome just came out in baseball. I know we had a new Pokemon set that just came out recently. But this week, we have a few more new releases coming. They have dropped. They're in the shop. We just can't put them out yet. Topps Chrome Baseball Mega Boxes.
Ah, nice.
And we've run through jumbos. I think we have a few hobbies left. Blasters
Somebody
going. Megas
text me about, I think they pulled a Topps Chrome ski. No, who was
an Aaron Judge logo?
Michigan Eddie.
Oh, okay. So he hit something big, but actually in the shop, one person hit one of the logo
no way
things of Aaron Judge. There's only 4 of them.
No way.
And that was actually hit in our shop.
Wow.
And actually one of our employees picked the box. They said, pick me a winner, and she sure did.
She got a winner.
So anyway, so that was good. But Topps Chrome Mega Boxes are out, which is
sweet.
A more affordable format.
Affordable way to get
great.
into it, right.
And they're doing the buyback program.
Let me ask you guys a question. So I go to Walmart and I'm with my son and he's really wanting to collect baseball cards and he's like, Dad, I want your collection. I'm like, well, it's not much, but you can have it for sure. And he's wanting to buy boxes at Walmart. So what's the difference?
Most of the time, those boxes are blasters, what we call blasters. So they're a little bit smaller, and they come with anywhere from 5 to 8 packs, sometimes 4 packs, 3 packs. Just depends on the product configuration. Those, when we talk about retail product, we actually carry the same exact retail product. Now, what can be different is there could be a Walmart exclusive. There could be a Target exclusive. And what that means is they might have parallel cards in there that are like purple sparkle or pink sparkle, and it's just in the Walmart product. Yet, they'll put the green sparkles only in the product for Target. Then they have regular retail product, which we would have maybe just gold sparkles is what the regular retail product. And so we do carry retail, and the industry has pushed more towards retail for our stores. However, what Walmart can never get is hobby.
That's right.
Hobby. So what we call jumbo and hobby, they can never get those products. The only way you can get those products and the guarantees for the products are by coming to a hobby store. So that's what sets us apart. So the guys who have, let's call it the decent amount of money to spend $300, $400, $500 on a box, they're going to come to us. Because they're going to be guaranteed the 3 autos. They're going to be guaranteed color in the boxes. When I say color, parallels with different colors. They're going to be guaranteed stuff like that. Plus, this is only on mainstream products. So you'll find Topps Chrome in Walmart or Target. But what you won't find is Inception. What you won't find is 5-star.
Diamond Icons.
Diamond Icons. The higher, better stuff, bigger stuff, where it has the bigger hits, the rarer cards in it. So, in the end, I say to you, if you want a blaster and you can afford a blaster at Walmart, sure, go ahead. It doesn't hurt our feelings. We're going to blow through the stuff we got anyways. But as far as the hobby goes, why wouldn't you want to be in a hobby shop when you're opening your product and hanging out and with other people who care and love that same type of thing?
And the experience that you can get.
That's it.
And having.
That's it.
Because, like, if somebody doesn't know.
We're not going to gouge you. I mean, it's going to be the same price as Walmart. I mean, so why not just come to the shop and hang out, open your product there, buy it there, show your son or whoever, your daughter, the experience. And that's what we have strived for, is the experience that you're going to have at our shop. Not only is it clean, is it beautiful, is it a great environment, all of our associates are wonderful people, super nice, is the experience of other collectors in the shop egging you on, go and open that product, have a good time. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you hit that, what a pull. The camaraderie.
It's communal.
It's communal.
No doubt.
And so that's why, what's the difference? That's the difference in experience.
And then, like, you guys and all of the people that are there will know what it's worth when you
100%,
open it.
100%.
Whereas if you're at home, you'd have to
Like
look
I said,
online
one of
and
our
all
good
that.
customers hit me up last night and said, check what I got, and hit a monster card out of one of our boxes in the shop. We get that all the time.
We have the gear to protect it right there.
We have sleeves. We have all that. Again, you're at Walmart, where you...
So
what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what's funny is there's 2 other products that showed up today that released this week that completely encompass maybe the way the hobby was and the way it is now. And I'll tell you what I mean by this, because Todd's got the quizzical look there. Wondering where I'm going. The first one is the 2025 Topps Complete Sets.
Are
out, Series 1 and 2. Now, when I was growing up, Todd, all 3 of us here, we're a little advanced.
Y'all leave me out. I'm a little younger.
Oh, please.
Oh, I don't know.
We're right in there.
Oh, I don't know. You'd be shocked how young I am.
That's right. But complete sets was the way. It was about putting the entire set together. And there are some people who still really like that. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
So those are out. Factory puts them together.
I hand collated probably every set from 80 to 95.
Yeah.
I literally hand collated. And then when I got back into it, because I'd taken a break, I was in the computer industry for 10 years. And I got back into it towards the end of my computer industry with Bill. We started putting sets back together again. Bowman sets, 2003, 2004, 2005 Bowman sets, all the rookies and stuff like that.
I would say, too,
I've done a lot of that, but the factory sets were always the coolest.
They're cool. They always have a few little extra add-ons,
That's
but
it.
also they were great, like parents who didn't know, and the kids getting into baseball, and they really like just looking at each of the different pictures and learning about the players. That was a good way to do it. Now, the way the hobby has progressed, and maybe as you get a little bit older, it's more into the autographs and the bigger cards.
Yeah, right.
Another product that showed up that'll be releasing this week is what's called Topps Archives Signature Series.
Oh, yeah.
And what they literally do, Paul, is they will take an old card from, let's say 2014. They may take one from 92, but let's say they take a 2014 Mike Trout card. They'll have him autograph it, and they'll stamp it.
Gold stamp.
It might be number 3 out of 9 or 4 out of 17.
Authentic autograph
whatever.
issue usually. Is
Exactly. And it comes already sealed and encased.
Right.
So this box,
I know exactly what you're talking
the
about.
complete set's 700 cards. This box is 1 card.
Wow.
Right.
But you're getting a guaranteed autograph of an active player, and they're all numbered to 99 or less. And I mean, we've had one-of-ones of Ichiro hit out of this product.
Massive hits.
When the retired edition. So the active players edition comes out this week. The 2025 complete set comes out this week. And the Topps Chrome Mega Box. It's a big week for baseball releases. Perfect time leading into Super Saturday.
And again, we have Super Saturday this Saturday, so come on down, check us out. I believe they even give 10% off on comics. I know they do not do it on silver or gold and bullion, so nice try, guys. But I think they do on comics, too. They give 10% off on comics as well.
So if one of these kids come in there and they hit a card that is pretty rare and you guys want it, will you guys make them a fair offer for the card?
100%. Yeah. There's people who'll hit $1,000 card, and we'll make an offer $600-700. I mean, we have to make money,
right?
I mean, so everybody knows that.
Well,
but hey, they may take it and be like, I've turned this into more product, or I can now go do my other hobby,
That's
or whatever.
what you see a lot of,
and
is
you see a lot of
trading
trading back in for more product or the cards they actually want. Because you got to understand, somebody may hit, a black refractor at a 25 autograph of some player that's $1,000 card, but it's not a player they collect.
That's right.
But they certainly want these 2 players that we have in our case for $300 a card, and they really want to collect that player, so they can trade that towards that.
Yeah.
So it's the same old. You still trade cards. Again, it's the camaraderie, it's talking sports. I mean, it's everything, and all the guys there are knowledgeable.
Well, and the beauty of it too is and you obviously know this. You've been doing this longer, by far than I did. But one of the beauties of it is you could think, oh well, I'll just sell that on eBay. All right, that sounds fine.
Sure.
When you do that, you got to list it. You got to take the right pictures. You got to deal with the nonsense offers that you're going to get.
Right.
Then you're going to get hit with eBay fees.
That's it.
And you got to ship it.
And it's 16%.
So
on eBay.
A lot of times people think, well, there's the retail percentage markup that we need to have, which I understand it. But when you start putting it all together, not only are we going to give you pretty much as fair an offer as you're going to make on eBay, we're removing all of that hassle.
Yeah, and just thinking about buying a $200 or $300 or $400 box and then hitting $1,000 card. Not only did you make money for your trip, but you had so much fun doing it.
That's right.
And you get other cards.
That's
so it again goes back to the first thing that we talked about was the experience. Of coming down there and having all of those things. And that's what real collecting cards is about.
That is
just
what
the
it's about.
experience.
Right.
Because I remember growing up as having cards.
So the funniest thing is I actually have a story, a good story,
all right,
that actually has to do with not only the experience but collecting. So everybody knows pretty much that my ex-business partner, which we are on great terms.
Yeah.
Nathan.
Yeah.
Nathan still runs the shop in Spanish Fort. He still has the sports card shop. It's called Big Hit Sports Cards. So he went to the National this weekend, along with our guys went to the National as well, Ethan and Josh. And so I was headed over to Mobile on Friday to visit some
place,
friends.
by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're into that type of thing.
He's an Eastern Shore guy. Go ahead.
So he texts me and said, hey, he knew that I got a Tom Brady SP Authentic rookie card graded in a 9. And that's a whole other story. But he knows I have it. And so he says, one of the cards I've never owned, I would love to own one. Can I get it from you? And I said, yeah, I'll make it happen. He said, can you bring it? Well, he's not even there, but he knew I was coming. And so I said, no, I can't bring it. I'm already left because I was already an hour into the trip. I said, but I'll get it for you. He calls me about 10 minutes later and says, oh my God, this just happened. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I was saying the text in the phone to you, and apparently the guy overheard me at the table and said, hey, someone right there has one of those.
Wow.
That's not the story. There was a card underneath it. He's like, wait a second, what's that card underneath it? So 30 years ago, Nathan was presented by Beckett, the magazine Beckett, as the #1 Jordan collector in America.
Yeah.
Has the #1 Jordan collection in America. They have a whole spread on him in the back. He still has the magazine. He shows everybody all the time. Really cool. Which, by the way, that guy was at National who did that story on him.
That's cool.
So the story gets even better. So he says in the story of the Beckett magazine from 30 years ago, this is my holy grail card. It's a Michael Jordan jersey card. It's like 1996, 94, something like that, when they first started coming out with jersey cards. And it's rare. This card is unfindable. That card was sitting underneath that Tom Brady SP Authentic.
Wow.
Oh, man.
He ended up buying it for $26,500.
Wow.
It was his holy grail card. Took him 30 years and finally got it, which means he's probably owned one of every Jordan card ever made.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By that one card he finally got. So what I tell you is, oh my God, that is the epitome of collecting sports cards right there.
Yeah.
Of anything, is that final piece to that puzzle of what you've been looking for and what you've been doing. So that, if I was to tell anybody, why do you go into collecting? The love of that.
Yeah.
Right there.
That
Not about the
great.
money. You make it go about the money, you're never going to win.
That's right.
Yeah.
But if you do it for the right reason, you're going to win. You're going to win every time. And Nathan won this weekend, and I'm so proud and excited.
That's
about him.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
that was a great story. But he's
That's
my
a great-
ex-business partner. Good guy. If you haven't checked out Nathan Sharp, absolutely check it out. But he's in Spanish Fort, obviously.
Yeah.
But anyways, to move it along, things are going great at PCB Hobby. We've been really busy, been hiring people. We need more staff all the time, and we hope that we can get a lot of people through the door and get them to Super Saturday. And I can tell we're out of time because I got both you guys looking at me. So-
Yep. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a break. But Todd, thank you so much. That was so informative, and I'm excited because I believe there will be a little 9-year-old Wilson kid in the shop on
Love it.
Saturday.
Love it.
When we come back, we'll be discussing whether or not Micah Parsons is going to be traded. You're listening to ESPN 104.3 Northwest Florida.
Reach out and smack someone. Call or text now. 850-215-6290. The Red 17 Studio Line. The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is designed specifically for sports fanatics like you. The sports content you demand is always on. Live stream our national and local sports talk anywhere you go. Reach us on all social media. You can also be a part of the show. Call and text into our studios. Plus, up-to-the-minute weather and traffic maps. The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is available at the Apple Store and Google Play.
Great design is timeless, and that's why Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves offers a stunning selection of vintage, antique, estate jewelry on sale now at 40% off. Exquisite Victorian rings, Art Deco diamond brooches, Georgian and Art Deco bracelets, earrings, and pendants. These one-of-a-kind pieces add personality to any ensemble, and now at 40% off. Find your timeless treasure at Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves.
If you spend any time at all in your yard, you're going to encounter fire ants.
We know they can ruin a party. That's why we're this area's experts at fire ant elimination.
As your certified top choice professional, we will rid your yard of these unwanted invaders. Brock Pest is so sure they'll get rid of fire ants that they offer a 1-year guarantee.
Enjoy your yard fire ant free. We guarantee it. Give us a call for your free consultation.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, our family protecting yours since 1968.
Every game matters, so don't miss a moment this summer as the Braves try to battle back in the standings.
Curveball swung on, belted, deep left field. Gone! Ronald Acuna Jr. 5-1 Atlanta.
Tonight, the boys are back in town, and Truist Park comes alive for the Braves and the Milwaukee Brewers live in Atlanta.
Braves back at home to take on the Brewers. 6 o'clock pregame, 6:15 first pitch. Your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida.
If you build it, they will come. We're live from the CBC Construction Studios. Chop on, Braves fans.
That is gone!
Since 2017, your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs with Paul Wilson here at ESPN Radio 104.3. Now, we've talked a lot about the NFL, but I want to go back. We had somebody, one of our listeners, he messaged in and said, how about them Canes at 10? I said, way too high. He said, as a diehard Canes fan, I can agree, but the potential to finish 10 or better is there.
It's definitely there because you do have an experienced quarterback. A lot of Georgia fans would say maybe not the best experience, but look, he was a starting quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs.
And very good at times.
Now, you have a quarterback who's coming off an elbow injury, which is worrisome.
Yeah.
And Miami has kind of faltered the last couple of years. But that being said, they're in the ACC.
Which helps.
And no knock, but it's not as tough as the Big Ten or the SEC. So I think it's a little high. I don't think it's crazy. And so, we'll see. Maybe it'll be the U.
Yeah, maybe the U. Always look at the quarterback for the most part. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be the ones that are going to do well.
Oh, yeah.
And he's experienced. You wonder about him, Carson Beck, being that guy that's made so much money that you just wonder if he's just doing it for the money because of all the things that he's done with the money. So you don't really know.
Elbow injury is a big deal.
It is.
But we'll see.
It's big. So we'll see with that. Well, we've got to talk about it because today Micah Parsons was back at the practice facility, and this time he was wearing his jersey. Last week and yesterday he had taken his jersey off, and so today he comes in and he has his jersey on. Also, after practice, Coach Schottenheimer, which is Marty's son, now the head coach of the Cowboys, crazy situation how that happened anyway, but either way, Schottenheimer, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. You got your best defensive player having it out with your owner, who's your boss inevitably. You got to be very careful what you say at the press conference. And he had his press conference and he was saying all of the right things, I believe. He was talking about how Micah had started to interject himself into the meetings, how he was one of those guys that is leading the team. He's bringing up stuff that needs to be brought up as far as like on the field stuff. Nothing said about the off-field issues, which is what you would expect at this point. But I believe that it was a really good deal. We haven't spoken about this at all. There's two sides to this story. Is this a Myles Garrett type pull where you're going to get the money? Or is this guy seriously saying, I don't want to be a Cowboy. I'm not playing for the Cowboys. You need to trade me. And you got Jerry Jones saying, fans, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. He's still under my contract. He's still supposed to play. It's just a part of the process, is his exact words. And then he said, do not lose any sleep over it, is what he told the fans over the weekend.
Well, what he's saying is he ain't going anywhere else because I ain't trading him, and I own his rights, and he does. So I get that. Obviously, it's cause for concern. I don't love. Let me preface this first by saying I understand it. I know it's a negotiation. This is professional football.
Right.
And they have a very limited career, and I'm going to get into something else at the end of this. But I don't love the fact that athletes hold these teams hostage with this stuff, that they hold out, they don't show up, they this, that, or the other posture. I know it's a tactic, but I hate it because playing professional football is a privilege.
Right.
That very few people are afforded. So I don't love that. And I know people, they have a short career. They're trying to force themselves into a better situation. The one area where I will give them some leeway in that is football, above all other sports, has the least guaranteed money in the sport that needs it the most. Because their careers are so short and they're able to be cut so easily. And, these guys could be out of the league at 25, 26. Nowadays, they're coming in so young, maybe even earlier.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily have anything to fall back on, certainly not at that level. So if I would be a lot more against these guys ever using this as, holdout and all like that if they had guaranteed money, like baseball and other things do. But that being said, I just hate the look of it. So in my mind, I would love it if Micah Parsons said, look, I really want to get a new deal done, or I really want the Cowboys to put a better team around me because I have a short window. That being said, I understand it's a privilege to play in this league. I'm going to give my all to the Cowboys, and I'm going to be there for every practice, but I want these things to be better.
Yeah, and with him being the player. But
that doesn't ever seem to work.
No, with him being that player, you would hope that would be the synopsis of all of it, is that let's work this out in the offseason, let's get this done so that we can go ahead and move forward, but during the beginning.
So Micah Parsons has seen what works.
It does work.
You go scorched earth. You get everybody in the world freaking out. You get hot take radio. Sorry, that's us.
That's us.
You get a hot take radio going. You get the first takes of the world going and all like this. And it becomes this massive issue in the hopes that it's going to put pressure on an owner. Jerry Jones, the least likely to be moved by external pressure, but it might work. And the fact is that it has worked in the past. That's why everybody keeps going back to the same well.
Yeah.
I really wish we would just do it the way that I said it. But, that's like believing in fairies, I guess.
Yeah, and like the way that Trey Hendrickson has done his is totally different. I believe his is like, I want to be in Cincinnati. I want to play for you, but you don't. I want you to see my value. I want to see what I've put on the field. And then like what you said, I believe this is a ploy. It could be the fact that he just wants to, Myles Garrett the situation and get the most of the money. Now, to me, we didn't get a lot to talk about it on Friday, but I want to ask you about McLaurin because to me, Parsons is a big deal. Don't get me wrong. Hendrickson is a big deal. Those two guys on your team, you always need those guys to make plays. But I believe McLaurin is one of those guys, though, that to me, that's the biggest story of the year as far as the contract negotiation going on right now, as far as those three guys. Obviously, a lot of people may not know who he is unless you're a sports fan.
Good player.
But Jaden Daniels, when the pocket broke down and he stretched the play, if you look back, that's who he threw the ball to. When they beat the Lions, that's who he threw the ball to. That guy, to me, and it pains me to say it because he's an Ohio State guy, and I absolutely despise that school from up north. But seeing him out there and he's just saying, I just want to be paid like these other guys. I'm just as valuable as these other guys. It's just, it's a gut-wrenching thing because it's not getting all the publicity because he's not the player that everybody wants to, and it's not the Cowboys. But to me, that's a bigger story inside of it because of how valuable he is for their growth because of a rookie quarterback coming into his second year.
All right, let me approach it from the other end of things. That position is probably the most easy to replace in football right now.
Agreed.
And it's not to say he is a lesser receiver. He is a fantastic receiver with good experience on a team that needs it. That team's very young.
Second in touchdowns last year.
That's right. And you're right. He is the outlet there. But if you're looking at it from a GM's perspective, You're talking about the most easily replaceable position in football right now, I believe, is receiver.
Yeah.
More people are playing it. More people are coming into it from the college ranks in spread systems. It's easy to replace.
It is.
And so I don't think he has as much leverage as the other two. And so it probably looks, the other problem is who has preceded him. Wide receivers are the biggest prima donnas in football.
All of them.
And that has an effect.
Yeah.
So Terry McLaurin might not be that, but he's going to be painted with that brush.
Yeah.
The George Pickens brush, the T.O. brush, the Antonio Brown brush. He may be a totally different player, but he's going to be painted with that brush. And as such, I don't think he has as much leg to stand on. Of those three, he's the most likely they might just say, hit the bricks.
Yeah. And I believe with that, if they do that, that'll be the they'll be talking about sophomore slump, and they'll blame it on Jaden Daniels because that guy is such a great wide receiver. Even though I agree with you, the wide receiver position is one of those places that you can replace. At his standard, at his level, they probably won't find a guy to be able to replace him right now. That'll be because he's been there for a while. I mean, he's had several years there, but like just his I believe last year's production was such a great thing, and I believe that's really what this contract's all about is, hey, Jamar Chase was the only one that outdone me in yards or in touchdowns last year, so pay me some kind of extra money or give me an extension like he's wanting, because they're going to probably do pretty good with that quarterback there because he's good.
Well, the biggest thing is, and it comes back to what I said, these guys know they have very, very short careers to make real money.
Right.
And everybody thinks, oh, you make all this money a year. But you have to understand, after about 28, they're not earning anything else unless they go into something else outside of football. And so you need to maximize during your career and get that big contract. By the same token, you're in a hard cap league.
Yes.
And it's very little guaranteed money. It's more than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand why it's so cutthroat and nasty. I hate it.
Yeah, I do too.
That's just what it is.
Yep. And, that's where we're going to end it for today. Maybe in the morning we'll hear breaking news. Micah Parsons, Trey Hendrickson, Terry McLaurin. All coming
may
back.
be gone.
Yeah.
McLaurin may be
possibility.
Gone.
You've been listening to the Afternoon Underdogs. We are so thankful that you've been here with us. Tune in tomorrow. We talk a lot more college football, ESPN, Northwest Florida. We'll see you tomorrow.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Monday's weather. Tonight there will be a light breeze out of the south, likely thunderstorms, and very light rain at 81. Moderate rain and likely thunderstorms tomorrow morning, about the same at 85. In the afternoon and evening, likely thunderstorms and very light showers and a high of 85. About the same at 86 Wednesday, and we'll have moderate rain and likely thunderstorms. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at Instant Replay Sports.